Why do I do what I do? It's to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. I believe that if everyone woke up every day just inspired to do what they do, just think about what the world would be like, right? That's the world I want to live in. So that's why I do what I do. If there's a company that builds its culture based on a clear sense of purpose or cause, everyone who works there, or most of the people who work there, are going to love their jobs, right? And people who love their jobs are happier people, which means they go home happier, which means they treat their spouses better, which means they treat their kids better, which means they come to work happy the next day, which means they treat their colleagues better, which means they treat customers better, and then those people go home happier, and they treat their spouses and their kids better, and it's world peace stuff. So absolutely, yeah, no, I do believe that that's all it takes. I believe that passion is like profit. It's a result of something, which is when you have a clear sense of why you do what you do, and you are disciplined in how you do it, and you hold yourself accountable to your own values and beliefs, and make sure that everything you say and do, the feeling you have when all those things are in balance, is passion. Just like in a business, when those things are in balance, you'll be profitable. So the problem is, those kinds of instructions, the only people who tell you do what you're passionate about are people who are already doing what they're passionate about. The only people who tell you do what you love are already doing what they love. We know that. The question is, what do I love? How do I find my passion? That's the problem. But passion is a result. It's not the thing per se that drives you. It's the result of having a clear sense of why you do what you do and everything, and being in line. There's no right or wrong here. I mean, there's no one way to have success, and there's no one way to have happiness. What I discovered, I mean, again, this is a discovery of a pattern that exists in nature, which is those who, those leaders in those organizations that have the capacity to be inspired, inspire the people around them, have an unbalanced amount of success, an unbalanced ability to innovate, an unbalanced amount of profit, an unbalanced amount of fulfillment, an unbalanced amount of, ability to sort of show up every day and have it last for the long term. That's what this is about. This is not just about success or happiness. This is about sustaining long-term success or happiness. Your business is one of the things that you're doing in your life that brings to life your why. It's just one of your what's to your own why. It is the same. If you listen to Bill Gates speak, when he gave his TED talk about Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, he talked about potential and productivity, and even though what he's doing is different, why he's doing it is the same. The why for Microsoft and the why for the Gates Foundation is exactly the same. If you just go listen to that talk and replace the word mosquito nets with the personal computer, it's the same talk he gave in the 1970s to explain Microsoft. Your company is one of the things you do in your life to bring to life your why. It's the same. If you're the founder of the company, your why and the company's why are the same. And so we know something about people who work at organizations that have a clear sense of why. We know something about the personalities of the people who love to work at Apple, who love to work at Microsoft, who love, to wherever they work. It doesn't matter. It says something about who they are. And so it is much easier to find an organization that you will love to work for if you have clarity of your own why. Absolutely. It's the example I gave with the red hats. If you know what hat you're wearing, it's much easier to find the people who are wearing the same color. It's a cause, it's a purpose. It's not just Mac, it's just an easy example that I use. I mean, it's Harley Davidson, it's Virgin, it's the Civil Rights Movement, it's Chanel, there's many examples of it. Well, I shouldn't say there's many, there's a few examples of it. Sadly, it's not the norm. But what it is that those organizations, those companies, are no longer about their products. They exist on a much higher plane, this thing called why, and their products simply are one of the ways they get that message out. And all marketing is the way organizations speak to people. There's good marketing, there's bad marketing. Good marketing should put into words and pictures that cause you have as clearly as your products do. If a brand knows their why, can they produce inferior products and still succeed? The answer is of course. You don't have to have the best products. I mean, that idea that they're the best, based on what standards? People say Mac's the best, PC's the best. A Ferrari's the best. Honda Civic's pretty good. The idea of best is a nonsense idea because it's based on your standards, how you're defining the best. You can't have a bad product. Because if your why is clear, but your what you do, your product doesn't reflect it accurately, then it will be inconsistent and it will fall down. You have to have a good product. Doesn't have to be the best, but it has to be good, of course. There's a difference between jumping out of a plane with a backpack and jumping out of a plane with a parachute. Both have risk, but one has a little bit of forethought that went into it, and one of them you're more likely to live than the other one. Right. So the notion of risk in itself is not enough. It's just, what is the reason you're taking the risk? Are you taking the risk for the hell of it? Or are you taking the risk because you believe it's an essential step to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve? And then the question is it even a risk then? So the notion of risk in itself is not an indicator where something will work out or not. You don't want to do it totally on feelings. I mean, I talk about gut a lot and all of that stuff, but at the end of the day, you need all three, because it's not about just trusting your gut alone. Again, we do that anyway, but if you can't communicate why you do what you do, then it can't scale. You're the only one who can do it. And at the end of the day, you still have to have the other three pieces. It's just that so often we dismiss this concept of gut as, well, we don't know what it is. And it's only because we can't put it into words, and it exists in the part of the brain that doesn't control language, that makes it complicated and sometimes creates doubt. Like, do you ever wonder why you have all your great ideas in the shower or in bed or when you go for a run or when you're driving to work? It's because when your neocortex, your rational analytical brain, is not actively thinking, your brain is still trying to solve a problem, and it can give you ideas. And the reason they feel like they show up out of nowhere, which they don't, is because it's not this thinking process. You know, ever leave the house and you feel like you've forgotten something? Well, why is it a feeling? It's because your limbic brain is still engaged. It just doesn't control language, so it gives you a feeling, and it's never wrong, ever. It's like you're halfway to work, and you're like, I forgot my sunglasses. It's like you never get the feeling that you've forgotten something and it's wrong, ever. That's because there's more of your mind that's aware of the surroundings that you're in than you are able to be conscious of or put into words. But the problems still have to be posed. Your limbic brain won't solve problems that haven't been posed. It solves problems that have been posed, maybe in some sort of brainstorming session or something, and it continues to figure them out. I can tell you your why, but if you don't do it, what use is it, you know? The golden circle is just a tool, you know? Here's a hammer, you know? You can use it as broadly or as narrowly as you want. You can build a table, you can build a house. It's just a tool, but if you don't use it, it doesn't do anything. It's just a hammer. And that's what the golden circle is. It's a tool that you can apply to the way you run your business or build your career or something. But it's just a tool. You have to use it, otherwise it doesn't work. I get inspired by a lot of the people that I've been so fortunate to meet since this thing, who do live their why. A lot of the people that I wrote about in the book, Ron Bruder, Laurie Robinson, unbelievable people who just ooze their why. And quite frankly, it's the people who stuck with me in my life when when I went through the hardest times, which is where this thing came from. Those people inspire me because you realize just how valuable your close friends are. So my closest friends inspire me more than you know. My sister inspires me more than you know, and I've had the great opportunity to meet people who embody what I simply talk about, and that's overwhelming. It's amazing.